How's it hanging, fellows? If you're coming back, welcome. If you're new, sit back, relax, and grab some snacks, because we bout to chat. You ever notice how nobody takes responsibility for anything anymore? It's always someone else's fault. Bad parenting, bad bosses, bad luck, bad government. But here's the truth. Accountability is dying, and we're all paying the price. Now here's the problem. Back in the day, if you messed up, you owned it. And now, people run from responsibility like it's an Olympic sport. And we've done it to ourselves. We've built a culture that encourages excuses over ownership. And the consequences are everywhere. At work, people blame their bosses, their coworkers, or the system when they don't succeed, instead of looking at their own habits and choices. This creates a cycle where no one takes ownership, and growth is hindered by a lack of personal responsibility. In relationships, instead of admitting faults and working through problems, people often just walk away when things get tough. This avoids accountability, preventing real resolution and leaving the relationship stuck in a pattern of avoidance. And in society in general, we've made it easier than ever to avoid responsibility. This has led to a culture where blaming others is the norm, and holding people accountable is increasingly seen as toxic or judgmental. But there's consequences when we don't hold people accountable. Not to the point of counterculture, but just in general, face to face, you to me, you to your friends, basic accountability. When basic accountability dies, so does personal growth. If you never own your mistakes, you never improve. And that has serious consequences for individuals and society as a whole. We've cultivated this culture of entitlement. People believe that they deserve success without putting in any work. We've all seen it. People who want rewards without any effort. They expect promotions just for showing up. They demand respect without earning it, and believe life should cater to them without struggle. Social media just fuels this mindset. We see people flaunting success without showing the grind that got them there. The result? A generation that thinks success is about luck, connections, or privilege. Anything but hard work. But here's the truth. Success isn't given. It's earned. You don't deserve a great job just because you graduated. You don't deserve a fit body just because you went to the gym twice. And you don't deserve respect just because you exist. You earn it through character, through effort, and through consistency. When people stop taking accountability for their own progress, they start expecting handouts. And that mentality is toxic to real growth. We've also made weaker relationships because nobody's owning their mistakes, and it breaks down trust. Relationships in general, whether they are romantic, whether they're friendships, or whether they're family, they all require accountability. When people stop owning up to their mistakes, they start pointing fingers instead. Instead of saying, I messed up and I'll do better, they say, you're overreacting, or it's not my fault. Instead of communicating openly, they dodge responsibility and gaslight the other person into thinking that they're the problem. Instead of working on the relationship, they walk away because it's easier than admitting fault. Over time, this destroys trust. How can you build a strong connection with someone who never takes responsibility? How can you resolve conflict when nobody is willing to say, yeah, that was on me? Real accountability means recognizing when you're in the wrong and apologizing sincerely and actually changing your behavior. Without that, relationships don't grow. They just slowly fall apart. Not taking accountability builds a lack of resilience. If nothing is ever your fault, you can never develop the ability to even overcome obstacles. Life is hard. That's just a fact. But the only way to get stronger is to face challenges head on and learn from failure and adapt. When people refuse to take accountability, they rob themselves of that process. If you blame external factors for every setback, oh, it was a bad boss. Oh, I have bad luck. I had a bad childhood. You're never going to develop the resilience to push through difficulties. Every obstacle feels like an unfair burden rather than a challenge to overcome. And here's the dangerous part. If you avoid responsibility long enough, you actually start believing that you have no control in your life. You become a victim of circumstance instead of the driver of your own future. People with high accountability don't waste time blaming the world. They focus on what they can control and they make changes accordingly. Real growth only happens when you stop making excuses and start taking ownership. The sooner that you accept that, the stronger that you're going to become. Now, when I was younger, one of the most important lessons that my old pop taught me was to take accountability for my actions. If I messed up, it wasn't just my problem. It was my responsibility to fix it. And let me tell you, that lesson did not come easy. For a long time, I avoided taking responsibility. If something went wrong, I'd find a way to shift the blame. But I started to notice something. People stopped trusting me. They wouldn't include me in meaningful tasks or rely on me for anything important. Why? Because they knew that as soon as things fell apart, I'd just point fingers instead of owning up to my mistakes. That all came to a head when I was a sophomore. I think it was maybe about 15. By then, nobody wanted to work with me on any school projects, and even my closest friends kept me at arm's length. That was a really tough pill to swallow, but it forced me to face the truth. If I wanted to be respected, I had to start taking responsibility. So I made a change. I stopped making excuses, and I started owning my mistakes. I accepted the consequences, even when they sucked. Over time, something amazing happened. The same people who had distanced themselves started to trust me again. I rebuilt relationships, not because I convinced people that I had changed, but because I showed them that I had changed through my actions. That's when I learned that accountability isn't just about fixing mistakes. It's about proving your integrity. And once you lose your integrity, it takes real effort to earn it back. Now, how do we solve this lack of accountability? Number one is you stop making excuses. You own your mistakes and you learn from them, and then you press forward. Second, you surround yourself with accountable people. If your circle is full of excuse makers, you'll become one too. And number three is you have to hold others accountable. Don't be afraid to call out bull. Real friends and leaders will challenge each other to be better. So at the end of the day, accountability is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. So ask yourself, are you taking responsibility for your life, or are you letting excuses hold you back? If you like this commentary, check out my other commentary about how comfort is killing you, because a lack of accountability and a love for comfort go hand in hand. That video is going to be linked up in the card at the top corner of the screen. And if you're enjoying commentaries in general, I've got a whole playlist of other commentaries just like this. I'll also link that up in the top corner of this video. So let me know what you think. When was the last time you held yourself accountable for something? If you have any topics that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to send me an email at bigjohn.submissions@yahoo.com or drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.